Welcome to video 4. Yes, I like what I'm hearing. Do you want the people who land on your website to like what they hear? Hearing is more than just listening. It's more than the mental sound of words in your head as you read them. When people like what they hear on your website, it means that the words you're sharing connect with them, please them, reassure them, guide them. In this lesson, you'll discover a number of ways to improve what your visitors hear on your site, including how the words you choose affect what they hear, how the way you position your words affect hearing, the most important word you can use in your content to improve the visitor's hearing, a fail-safe hearing trick for catching mistakes and stumbles in your content, and by using a big bold headline on your home page, which is our class project, creating your USP, or unique selling proposition. When you get your USP right, and when you position your USP in a strategic place on your website, the right people will hear you right away. They'll know they're in the right place, and that what you offer may be just right for them. Ready? Let's dive in. First up, let's talk about how the words you choose affect what people hear and how they feel. Leo Widrich, co-founder of Buffer, says he pays careful attention to word choice by always asking, how will this make them feel? He explains more on the Buffer blog. The question might sound very obvious, and yet it's a very different question to say, for example, which message do you want to send? Or what is the content of this announcement? By always focusing on how it will make someone feel whenever we write even a single line, we immediately improved the amount of responses we got from our users. And you can do the same with your content. Here's how: by pursuing feeling. Before you write any piece of content for your website, whether it be for the home page, the about page, or for your contact page, ask yourself, how do I want the reader to feel after reading this content? Then, after you've written it, ask, does this content stir up or evoke the feelings I'm after? If you're not sure, run the content by someone. Ask them to read it and to tell you how it makes them feel. Another aspect of your website that affects whether people like what they hear is how well your words flow together and your thoughts transition smoothly. This isn't a writing lesson, so I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but I do want to help you create a sense of flow and smoothness in your content. And the best way I can think of to explain would be to use headings to guide your content, with each heading leading to the next. For instance, suppose you're a coach, and suppose you're using long scroll navigation on your homepage. You know, it's typically those long panels that stretch all the way across the screen and flow down the page. Then the heading outline of your homepage might look something like this. Panel 1 could be a big, bold headline, which could actually be a great place for your unique selling proposition, which we'll get to later on in this lesson. Panel 2 could be a call to action or offer. Now, you don't have to use a call to action this high up on the page, especially when you're on an inner page, like your About page. But it is a good idea to consider a call to action high up on your home page, so people see it without having to scroll. Panel 3 could be a "is this you" kind of thing. Here you could place some text that helps the person reading to identify themselves. It's like, are you a marketer or website owner struggling with the content on your site? Something like that to show the visitor that you get who they are and what they're struggling with. Panel 4 could be an "if so, then I could help" type panel. Here you'd introduce yourself or your solution. It's just part of this ongoing story. You're in this pain? Well, I can help. Panel 5 could be a "here's what others say about me" panel. This is a good place for testimonials or a logo wall, something to increase trust even more. Panel 6 could say something like, "thinking about working together?" Here you could offer people the ability to access your calendar, do a demo, read an important piece, download a lead magnet, or give you a call. It all depends on your business. Now, looking at all the components all together, do you notice how the text flows like a conversation? You can use this approach on every page of your site, even pages with straight text. In that case, you can still create a flow with headings on your paragraphs. Let's look at an example. Here's the flow for an about page. First, you have a headline about how you serve the reader. It might be something like, "Meet the marketing writer who wants to help you lead more people to yes." I'm making this up, so it's not the best, but. And then paragraph 1 could be something like, "Are we a fit?" Here you could describe your ideal client, the kind of person you're best suited to serve. The third heading might be something like, "How we might work together." Here you could talk about your process. Although if your process is long, then you might want to place it elsewhere. The next heading could say something like, "Interested in my credentials?" Offer the person a look at your CV or resume. Then you could have another heading, "Take the next step." Direct them to contact you, read an article, click here, click there, do something. Also note that when you plan out your content this way, readers will get the gist, even if they decide not to read the text under the headlines. And even if the text under the headlines isn't the best if you're not a great writer. And for those of you who aren't great writers, fear not. Here's a tip that will significantly improve what you do write. Speak to the reader and with the reader, not at the reader. Converse with, not at the reader. What's the difference? Well, consider this content, the words I'm speaking to you right now. Do you feel as if I'm speaking to you and with you, as if we're in some kind of a conversation? Or do you feel as if I'm speaking at you? Here's the secret of creating content that speaks to the reader. Use the word "you" liberally and pile it on like extra cheese on a cheese pizza. Where to use it? First, search your content for the words they, client, customer, we, them, us. Each time you find one of those words, ask yourself if substituting you or your would make sense. If making the change would lead your text to speak directly to readers, do it. Make the change. Here's an example. Our depth of experience allows us to provide the best service possible, satisfying the needs of each individual client. We understand clients' needs in business and provide them with informed, proactive communication. Ugh. Now, because I'm a writer, I'm dying to totally rewrite that content. But I'm assuming you're not a writer, so I'm going to just do the switch exercise. Remember, we're looking for the words they, client, customer, we, them, and us. And you can see I've highlighted them here. Now let's look at each of them. The word us. We can't switch us out because substituting with you won't make sense. Our depth of experience allows you to provide? No. The next word, client. Here we're looking at the whole phrase, each individual client. How about swapping that out with you? Of course, you do need to do a little tweaking so the sentence makes sense. Our depth of experience allows us to meet your needs and provide you with the best possible service. How's that? And the last two, clients and them. Those are both easy switches, just straight up substitutions with the word you. Now we have the revised version. Our depth of experience allows us to meet your needs and provide you with the best possible service. We understand your needs in business and will provide you with informed, proactive communication. Now, it's still a bunch of blather, but it does read better and it feels more personal. Here's another tip to make sure the people who read your website like what they hear. Read the content aloud. Yes, you might feel foolish, but don't knock it until you try it. I always read client documents aloud to catch things I might otherwise miss. In fact, I read this presentation aloud before I recorded it to catch stuff I initially missed. What happens is that our brains work so fast, they tend to skip over things, especially familiar things. To show you what your brain is capable of, I want you to silently read the sentence on the next slide. I'll turn to that next slide and then remain silent and give you a chance to read. Just read it silently, not out loud. Ready? Here we go. Were you fooled? I was. The first time presented with this mind bender, skipped right over the extra thes. I use this example all the time for clients who doubt me when I say that a writer cannot be her own editor, at least not until several days have passed. If you don't trust yourself to read your content aloud, try printing it and then reading it from the paper. Or, if that doesn't work, ask your spouse, partner, child, or friend to read it aloud. And if all else fails, hire a writer-editor like me. It's what we do for a living. Now, for the last item that influences whether or not people like what they hear on your website, your unique selling proposition, value proposition, positioning statement, whatever you call it. It's the big, bold text that the visitor first encounters when they land on your website. It's the elevator speech you use when you describe what you do to someone new. If you do it right, your USP will draw the right people in and then keep them there. It's the reason why people buy from you instead of someone else. Here are a few examples. First, suppose you're in the market for a leather briefcase. So you go to Google and type in leather briefcase. Your eye scans the shopping results at the top. Pratt Executive, AmeriLeather Classical, Men's McLean Leather. Then you look down at the first sponsored ad and read something intriguing. Leather briefcases built to last longer than you. 100-year warranty. What? Now, the last few briefcases you had didn't last, so this text speaks to you. And now that you've been pulled in, you look more closely at the ad text. That phrase, made by passionate craftsmen, sounds cool too. You have to at least take a look, right? So you click the ad and are redirected to the company's homepage. Whoa, the page is simple. It's not complex. And it's familiar because I see a photo of a beautiful leather bag, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So my eyes roam around a bit. And then, wait, what's this? A tagline? A USP? They'll fight over it when you're dead. Now, I don't know about you, but that tagline, USP, speaks to me. It differentiates Saddleback from all other sellers. If I buy this bag, I'll never need to buy another one. I remember from the ad that the bags are handmade by passionate craftsmen. Now I'm hooked. I'm diving in to check out the company's story, their products, and that crazy 100-year warranty. And all because of their unique selling propositions. Built to last longer than you, and they'll fight over it when you're dead. By the way, this tale of searching for a bag and finding Saddleback leather is a true story. It's exactly how I experienced the brand when I was on a search for a new bag a few years ago. Now, to be honest, I didn't buy because the price was a bit out of my league at the time, but I have never forgotten, and I am determined to get myself a Saddleback bag someday. Why not? Then my kids can fight over it when I'm dead. Okay, one more quick example, and then we'll get to work on your USP. This one should be familiar to those of you in North America. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more in your car insurance. Yep, that's Geico. Compare its USP to those of its competitors. Which do you think does a better job? There's Geico with 15 minutes could save you 15% or more in your car insurance. Then you have State Farm with Like a Good Neighbor, and Allstate with You're in Good Hands. Notice that both State Farm and Allstate use the word good. Good neighbor, good hands. Both companies want to give you a sense that they're watching out for you. Those USPs generate feelings of warmth and care. But if you didn't know those companies, you'd have no idea what they did. Like a Good Neighbor? State Farm is there? You're in good hands with Allstate? State Farm could be, I don't know, a farmer's market or a chain grocery store that focuses on farm fresh foods. Allstate could be a medical facility, an accounting firm, or a law firm. The only reason we know the State Farm and Allstate USPs is because both companies have spent zillions of dollars promoting them. But look at Geico's USP again. You'd know what they do even if you'd never heard of them. They sell car insurance, and their promise to us is right there in the USP. They can save us money and time two things that people tend to complain about when buying insurance. So, which is better? Which method should you follow? Well, since you probably don't have billions of dollars to spend on branding and promotion to get a cutesy USP out there and recognized, I'm going to recommend that you follow the examples of Saddleback and Geico. Are you ready to start on your own USP? Let's get to it. The first thing I need you to do is to download the USP Generator worksheet included with this course. If you don't have that now in front of you, please pause the video and return once you have it ready to go, as I want to review it with you so you're ready to put it to work when this video is over. Do you have your worksheet? Good. You'll notice that it has two parts, the discovery questions and the USP templates. In the first part, you'll answer a series of 7 questions that will prepare you to use the templates in the second part. Now, I urge you to take your time with the questions. They're exactly the types of questions I ask my clients when I'm preparing to write content for their businesses. I couldn't create great content without those questions. They're that important. So let's take a look at them. First up, who is your ideal customer? Some forms of your USP will actually mention the people you serve, so you'll need this information. If you serve multiple audiences, then you may actually want to create different USPs for those different audiences. It really depends on your products and services. Okay, question 2. What is your ideal customer's before state? Or, what state is she in when she lands on your website? What is she struggling with? What pain, challenge, or opportunity is on her mind? Question 3. What other problems or issues is the main pain causing? I call this referred pain because it reminds me of what my back doctor calls the pain I feel in my legs. The main pain comes from my back due to disc problems. But those disc problems are causing pain elsewhere, in my legs. The pain in my legs is referred pain. Now, turning that into marketing language, we could say that a business owner's main pain might be not getting enough yeses from their website. But that pain often causes other pain, like cash flow shortages, stress, fights about money with a spouse or partner, the inability to send a child to music camp. Those things are referred pains. Next, question 4. What is your ideal customer's dream after state? What would she like her life to be like after buying from you? What benefits or results does she get? This is always a fun question to think about. Don't worry about getting her there for the moment. Just think about the kinds of results that would make her say, "Wow, you're a genius." And question 5. How do you bridge the gap between the before and after states? How do you solve your customers' problems? Do you use a process? Does that process have a name? Jot it down. In fact, jot down all the steps you take to move your customers from here, from where they are now, to there, to where they want to be. Question 6. How do you bridge the gap in a way that no one else can? Other people or companies solve the problems you solve too. So here's where you're going to bring in your unique value. And I want to talk to you about this for a moment, about finding your unique value, because many of my clients aren't really sure what sets them apart. One thing I do when preparing to write web content is to visit 4 or 5 competitor sites. I read their web content. I download their freebies. I see what they say about themselves. What holes or gaps do they leave that I can fill? What specificity can I add when they're too general? For instance, if I see that all of the competitors say they provide a quality service, then I know I can take it a step further. I can actually spell out what quality means, whether it's including 2 spare parts, spending an extra 30 minutes doing prep work, or answering all emails within 2 hours. Figure out what you're doing different or better, or what you could do different or better. And don't forget to note the unique background or experiences you bring to the table. They're part of your differentiation too. Now to the last question, question 7. Why do people choose you instead of your competitors? Why do they buy from you? If you're not sure, I recommend sending a short email to 5 or so of your best customers. Tell them you're working on your brand and wonder if they would mind sharing with you why they chose you instead of your competitors. Their answers may please and surprise you. Now, the next part of the worksheet contains the USP templates, where you'll plug in words, phrases, and statements from the work you just did when answering the questions. For example, to fill in the second USP template, which you see here on your screen, just plug in what you offer and what life is like in the after state for a ready-made USP. Here you can see mine. Great online and offline marketing content. That's the what I offer part. That helps you lead more people to yes. That's the after part. I've included 4 different templates that I use in my work with clients. But my templates aren't the only ones that exist, so I've also included a link to a great article that has 7 more templates you might want to use. Check them out and then use the template or templates that work best for you. When you're finished with your USP, please share it or them in the project gallery. I'd love to see what you come up with. Next up, in video 5, I'm going to show you ways to cause visitors to your website to say, yes, I like what I'm experiencing. I'll see you there.